Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, August 29th, 2021. It's 11 a.m. That means it's Teri Hunter time on Lotta's channel, where we talk about the transits and get the angels' advice for traversing the transits. I will tell you this week, you guys, I am exhausted. I felt like this week I got so much done. And we know that Mars is in Virgo right now. And Mars is my ruling planet. So I had my carpets cleaned this week. I moved the furniture around. It was all very productive. So that was kind of fun and exciting. But I want to talk about hi, Juan. I hope you're well. I know there was some weather in your neck of the woods. I hope you're doing okay. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to talk about. And the main thing I want to talk about is the opposition between Neptune retrograde in Pisces opposing Mars in Virgo. This is going to happen at the 22nd degree on September 2nd and the 3rd. And I think even into the 4th. It will last for a few days, maybe even a week, but it's exact on these days. This is all Pacific time, by the way. I think this is super important because we know that Pisces rules hospitals and Virgo rules our health in general. So we have this conversation going on about our bodies, about what we believe about our bodies, about our health, about the rules and regulations that are being suggested and implemented. So I think what we're going to have is a real opportunity to dig deep into our intuition. Pisces rules ancestors. It rules past lives. It rules things that we percolate on in the dark. And I say that because it rules the sleeping room, the bedroom as sleep, where the 8th house rules the bedroom as sex. And then we have Virgo ruling our general health, also what we're enslaved to. So I feel like this is really an opportunity to dig deep, as Mars is the truth seeker, about what do you believe about your body? What do you believe about your health? What do you believe about your viability? And if indeed, for some reason, if this Virgo energy has made you feel conflicted between what Pisces and Neptune is offering you in the way of intuition and what Virgo's offering you in the way of practicality and what's in the 3D world in the way of what you're seeing in the media. Because I think this is really, if you find yourself in this sort of seesaw of opposition, I think it's an opportunity to take a pause and allow for the universe or your own intuition to reveal something to you. We also have this week, Mercury right now is at the 29th degree of Virgo, and it's going to be moving into Libra. We will be experiencing the last Mercury retrograde of the year later. In the end of September, it'll start. But I want to bring that up because the 29th degree is the very intuitive degree of Leo. So here we have the planet that rules our thinking, our speaking, our teaching, our reading, everything that we do in our everyday lives, in this sort of intuitive place, moving into the sign of diplomacy, of harmony, of cooperation. So I think that this is an important week, rather than to just have a knee-jerk reaction maybe, or to take everything at face value. I think this is giving yourself an opportunity to percolate a little bit on how your intuition, how your inner being is responding to what you're getting in the outside world, and an opportunity for you to really, I think, implement some things from an intuitive place about your health. I think I've been sharing with you guys that as I've aged, I've really realized that dairy is a real issue for me. And it's kind of like almost like as if I was drinking, because I feel the reaction that quickly after I eat dairy, and it's very uncomfortable. So this is something I've realized, and as I put myself in a more balanced place and implement some more uh, variations, then I have an opportunity to adjust that and to trust my intuition and my body about my health. And Stephen, you bring up a good point, Stephen, the Jupiterian. Is that my Stephen? Did you get a new picture? And did you change your profile name? I think you did. The sixth house also represents our pets and our animals and our four-legged babies. So there's a lot going on in that sixth house in opposition to the 12th house. This is on the normal wheel. So I really think this is an opportunity for you all to dig deep into your intuition and then allow spirit to confirm by allowing people to, or let situations support your intuition. So that's where I'm going with all of this. I want to welcome everybody. Hi, Sierra. Hi, Posted Up. Hi, Juan. Hi, Shelly. I'm sorry to hear you've had a couple of weeks. You know, I got to say, I too have felt this. It's kind of a weird, polarizing feeling because some things feel very murky and unsettled, and other things feel very aligned. And I think this is, again, where I start to trust a deeper inner knowing. Welcome, Welsh Roses. It's good to see you. I hope everything's going well with you. Hi, Layla. I feel like I've missed some people in the chat. I want to thank you all for being here today. Okay, so the main theme this week, I think, is the Neptune retrograde opposition to Mars at the 22nd degree. That 22nd degree, well, Nikolai would talk about it representing life and death in some ways. It also is the master number, 22. And that is the cooperation number, the partnership number. So as you align to a deeper inner knowing, and then you allow that inner knowing to reveal itself in the physical world, you will start to build a deeper trust in your inner knowing. And I think that that's all going to be complemented by Mercury at the 29th degree of Virgo moving into Libra. You know, we think of Libra as marriage, partnership, but I think of it as diplomacy. I think of it as learning how to speak my truth in a way that others can hear versus me just. So as I think, how am I supporting my own diplomacy, my own sense of harmony, my own sense of well-being? I become an instrument to spirit of balance. Okay, here we go. Oh, Layla, you've been getting 22s everywhere. That's kind of cool. I don't know if you're in a relationship right now, but that could be signaling that a relationship is coming. Okay, let's go on to our readings for the week. And as always, we start with Pisces and work our way backwards. You know, Welsh, I want to offer this, you guys. You know, when I talk about traversing the transits, it isn't as if the transits have like dominance. It's really about the prowess of the individual traversing the transits. Think of it this way. You know, if you have been a hiker for a while, or you're used to being out in nature, then you can look at maybe a hill or a mountain and assess what's the easiest route to the top or where you want to go. That's what these readings are about. It's looking at the landscape and then assessing what is going to be the easiest route for me. And most of it, and this is where Mercury at the 29th degree in Virgo makes me want to make it practical for me to think about the solutions. And if I can't figure out the exact solution, then it makes it practical for me to think about what it feels like when I'm sitting in harmony or when I'm sitting in alignment with what I want. Recently, you know, you guys, I talk about Lucky all the time, and Lucky is like so he's got Jupiter and Venus in Taurus, and it's really flanking my moon. So, because I have my moon in Taurus. So I look at this dog and I realize that he only focuses in on what makes him feel good. He only focuses in on the ease of things. So I feel like that's a cue for me. When I look at him and he's staring, he wants something, and I see it. And there's a part of me that says, you are a brilliant little creature because you are teaching me how to focus on what I want, not the obstacle to getting there. All right, that's where I'm going with all this. So we're going to start with Pisces and work our way towards Aries. Pisces is naturally ruled by Neptune. So I think that this opposition this week between Mars and Virgo is offering Pisces an opportunity to get down to the truth of what they want and to really start to, rather than, now Mars is going to ask you to take action, yes, but I think it's about taking a bit of a pause before I jump into that action because I need to get to the deeper truth. And while Mars is in Virgo, it may say to you, Pisces, are you being practical about what you want? Because practicality only comes from your eyes. It only comes from what you think you can see and then manifests from there. So I want to offer it this way. When you go deep into your dream world, because what does the 12th house represent? I dream. So I think that's going to be important. And then Mars becomes the truth seeker of what's really most important to you. All right. Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Our first angel is Ariel. The second is Opal. The third is Chantal. And the final is Akasha. Oh no, do we have a fur baby issue? Sending love to you, Shelley, and your fur babies. Okay. Pisces, Ariel is being joined by the love card. Opal is being joined by the disruption card. Chantal is being joined by the hawk. And Akasha is being joined by the novice. This is super interesting to me. So we know that Pisces is a mutable sign. We know that Pisces, being the fish sign, I feel Pisces tends to be so cooperative that it can sort of take on the shape of what it is surrounding. So let's imagine it's a glass of water. Pisces is water. If you put it in a champagne glass, it's going to take on the shape of the champagne glass. You put it in a beer mug, blah, blah, blah. Because I feel like what this is and what this opposition is doing is focusing in on love for Pisces and focusing in on allowing you to have a bigger experience of love. So whether you're in a relationship or you're desiring of a relationship or you don't want a relationship at all, there's an opportunity for a connection, a deeper connection to spirit that will make you and allow you to feel more loved and supported in general. And I want to offer it this way because there is in the opportunity, the obstacle, we have Opal, which represents our children being cared for by God and the angels, and there's a disruption. To me, for Pisces, this may very well be that you're lacking belief that spirit is really watching over you because you're currently going through a disruption. And that disruption could be very well involving your love life. Because there's Chantal, the angel of romance, and the hawk, not only asking you to rise above a situation and to see it from a more succinct place or and I say succinct, I mean like being able to come up, see the broad view, and then to be able to zero in on varying elements that lets you see the hues or the various colors of what's going on. Because I feel like there's the potential for resurgence, but part of it must come through a disruption. And that disruption may be for Pisces, rather than molding into love in being overly cooperative, maybe this is about being a little bit more forthright with your deeper truth and then being able to express that, because Akasha is the spiritual teacher, and here is the unstable new beginning. And I think what this is that you will learn that as you express yourself, your needs may be more succinctly met, or maybe more palatable to the people around you. It's almost as if when I look at this, I feel like Pisces may be in their head about the reaction they would get from another. And rather than assuming a certain reaction, when you are able to express yourself, then you actually receive a more favorable response. So here's Neptune in the house of isolation, in the house of spiritual, in the house of meditation and ashrams. And so it's very polarizing kind of feeling, the 12th house, because it can feel super warm and fuzzy, and then it can feel a little bit cold and harsh. And I feel like this is where Pisces in particular gets to kind of pick a lane. Where am I going to go? What am I going to believe in? Because I think you have something to learn or to remember, or to experience, that brings you to deeper level of love, and a deeper level of love because you have expressed yourself in a way that is receptive to another. And it's, for you, it's like, wow, I didn't know if I told you that you would be open to it. And now I feel like we've created a bridge. That's where I'm going with this. And I want to say this too, because Mercury, I talked about it being at the 29th degree of Virgo. That's an intuitive degree, and it's going to go into Libra. So Mercury is going to be wanting to talk in the way of cooperation. It's going to want to start to think in more harmonious ways. And now this is about giving life to that. Okay? All right. On to Aquarius. Here we go. All right. Now let me back up real quick. Hope nobody's going to be mad at me, but I think I saw Small. Is your mom in the hospital? I'm so sorry to hear that. You did say that. Well, let's all send some prayers to your mom. I hope that she recovers from whatever is going on with her. That's very interesting, because you are Mercury ruled, are you not, Small? So the 6th house has some influence on you, the house of health, and the 12th house, mom in the hospital. Wow. Oh, these challenging times. All right. Your mom's been in the hospital for almost a month. Oh my goodness gracious. I can't even imagine. There's no rest in a hospital. It's nothing but beeping and people coming. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, we will send prayers to her for her ease and for her recovery. All right, here we go. Aquarius, rising moon, sun and stelliums. And for those of you that are new to my show, the reason I say moon is that I believe that the human manifests on their emotional body, and the moon rules our emotional body. So we can, push ourselves forward. We can, try to make something happen. But if we're taking action on an emotional wobble, it's going to be an emotional wobble that is actually manifesting. So hang on before you take that action. Oh, welcome, Veronica Gmail. Welcome, J4S777. New names in the chat. All right, here we go. Aquarius. Our first angel is Maya. The second is Athena. The third is Omega. And the final is Serena. Maya is being joined by the hawk, Aquarius. Athena is being joined by the horse. Omega is being joined by the disruption card. Wow. And Serena is being joined by the bear. All right. Before I go on to Aquarius, real quickly, Small, always let us know when something's going on, because as a community, we want to be able to support and send prayers, because the vibration of the prayers can help uplift the situation. So please don't be shy, people. Please let us know. We don't want to put too much focus on the issue, but the identification of the issue, and then as a community being able to focus in on what it feels like when the solution comes in, we can help really vibrationally move the energy. And then that creates a very powerful experience for all those involved. Okay, so Aquarius, Maya is the angel of schooling and education. And then we have the hawk. And I believe straight up, Aquarius, this is about signs and omens and about paying attention to them and what you're learning as a result of that. One of the things that I feel so blessed about, because look at the hawk is an 11. So we're talking about our thought process. And as I have been working for myself for over 8 years now, I have become very, very adept and very good at being able to stay above the situation and to work in concert with spirit. So there are times when I don't know how things are going to play out, but I have a trust that when I keep my eye on the prize, keep my eye up, and keep looking at the signs and the omens that spirit is giving me, I'm being schooled in a good way. I'm getting an education, and that education is rewriting my history about abundance. This is the final position for the fourth position for Aquarius. So the bird represents music, the enchantment of storytelling, and Serena is the angel of abundance and money. And I think this is where Aquarius starts telling a different story about money. But I want to offer it this way, because there's something about Aquarius that I think you need to go into a new direction. In your opportunity or your obstacle, we have Athena that says it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. And then the horse, when I look at it, it's charging into the spread, but it's also charging towards the victory card and the disruption card. And again, we have another horse. I think there's something about a subtle shift in your direction or in your thought process that will then bring about more manifestations in the physical world. And it could be mustered something where you're revisiting a creative project, because again, here's the bird, which is the enchantment of storytelling. But there's also something about learning about ease and reception. There's something about, for instance, mustard, if you're a writer and you're pushing on, I've got to finish this story, I got to rewrite this story, and it's all feeling like I have to do it, it's actually a time to take a break so that inspiration can come through. So, and that's what we're learning about the signs and the omens. So overall for Aquarius this week, I think that there's going to be an opportunity for you to connect in a more tangible and physical way with the signs and the omens that you're getting from spirit that are signaling you to move into a new direction. And I want to offer it this way, because with the opposition between Mars and Neptune, I feel like this Neptune energy is not about the illusion anymore. It's not about being erosive, but more about, is this aligned to what I dream about, what I want? And then Mars is not necessarily about aggression or jumping into action, but digging into that deeper truth. Am I really standing on a deeper truth? That's really what this year is about, and why we have this theme of Uranus and Saturn throughout 2021. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. Carolina, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and I work my way towards Aries, and we are on Capricorn. So we're on the third sign, working our way towards Aries. All right, here we go. Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. A stellium is really 4 planets in one sign or house and indicates a strong intention of the soul in this lifetime to work on a specific dynamic. Not always is the work on a dynamic arduous. Sometimes that work is to stay in the lane of enjoying yourself, of having fun. Okay, Nikki, no, you did not miss Taurus. We've got a ways to go. All right, Capricorn. Our first angel is Aurora in the foundational position. In the opportunity or the obstacle, we have the angel of romance, Chantal. In the angel's advice, we have Opal. And in the final position, we have Oceana. I've been talking about Capricorn quite a bit. You know, Pluto's been traversing Capricorn forever and a day. And we've had other planets in the last year, you know, traverse through that house. And I really think it's been giving Capricorn an opportunity to rewrite the story from the cranky old goat to the baby goat that enjoys and jumps around and is extremely, really kind of it's contagious, that the fun that you see coming from a baby goat when it's running around. So Aurora is being joined by the disruption card. Chantal is being joined by the goblin. Opal's being joined by the eagle, and Oceana is being joined by the water fairy. So I want to offer this because when I look at this, I don't necessarily think that Chantal is really representing romance. For some reason, it feels like it's representing things that Capricorn loves. And Aurora is saying you're flying high right now, don't descend, that you're breaking a box. It talks about threatening others, but I don't think so. I think this is more about Capricorn rewriting the rules and rewriting them in a way that is not throwing about all the Saturn influence. We don't want to throw Saturn out, but we do want to rewrite Saturn in a way that allows us to work hard in the lane that we love, because that's where the disruption comes in. In order to fly high right now, Capricorn, you get to break a box. And that box of thought is really, where is your ego telling you that you need to do something for someone else's agenda because it's time to do what you love. And this could represent outside love. But when I saw it with the ego, I thought this was all about obligation and duty. And if indeed you are acting in a way that is dutiful versus what you truly want, or you've gotten an attitude about love that is so sour that you've given up on it. You're like, nope, it's not going to happen for me. Just doesn't happen for me. I can't find somebody in alignment, because I think this is where it's important to disrupt that box of thought that may not be serving you, or to capitalize on a box of thought that is serving you, that is disruptive to the outside world and the outside structure. Because in the angel's advice is Opal, and Opal always represents God and the angels being watching over and caring for the child. And sometimes this is the inner child, not just, I never had children. So the child for me is my inner child. And there's the connection to the angelic realm. So this idea that the inner child is not wounded. The inner child is actually more aligned to the truth of the soul. And what happens is the inner child experiences some things that may be distasteful. And then as it grows into adulthood, the adult hangs on to those experiences and wants to fix them and rewrite them. And I think this is where we run amok, because we can't rewrite history. So rather than trying to go back and fix the inner child, how do we allow the inner child to allow us to move towards fun? Because that's what I think this is about. God and the angels asking you as a human, rather than to focus on where you've been hurt, focus in on where you feel love. Because in the final position, Capricorn, this is all about your feelings. Oceana is asking you to take action on your feelings. And the water fairy is asking you to dig deeper into what those feelings are and allow yourself the privilege of moving towards that. So let me try to be more succinct. When I talk about Capricorn, Capricorn is known as limiting, restrictive, follow the rules whether you like it or not. In my meditations, Capricorn and Saturn have said, all those things are true. Those are true about my energetic dynamic. But I'm not marrying you or holding your feet to a certain structure. It's the human that chooses the structure. It's just that once you choose it, there's no turning back from Saturn's point of view, from Capricorn point of view. So now it's time to rewrite that story. Meaning Saturn doesn't care what lane you choose, just wants you to show dedication, wants you to show a stoic amount of tenacity
when you're uncomfortable, to persevere through whatever that is. And then you will be rewarded. If any of you have studied with Lotta, you know she talks about Saturn being a planet that rewards over time, as we age through life, as we go through our Saturn returns. So for Capricorn, I think that this potential of Neptune retrograde opposing Mars in Virgo this week could illuminate for you something that you want more from that Neptunian place, from this dream place, from a more spiritual dynamic, and then having Mars act as the truth seeker so that you can bring this into the practical world and experience the spiritual in the earth plane. That's where I'm going. All right. Onward and upward. Lots of weird weather things going on right now. It's just an interesting time. And I can't decide on a human level if it's interesting because we have more access to each other, so we know more, or whether this is just unusual. All right, here we go on to our Sagittariuses. Sending love to everybody in Louisiana experiencing challenges with the weather. I do think there's a climate change. I do think that the accesses have changed a little bit. All right, here we go. Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Oceana. The second is Serena. The third is Merlina. And the final is Desiree. All right, here we go. Oceana is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Serena is being joined by the Disruption card. Merlina is being joined by the Grail Knight. And Desiree is being joined by the Focus card. Oceana really talks about getting in touch with your deeper truth, about in a deeper truth from an emotional way, from an intuitive way, from you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can only feel it. And I think that for my Sagittariuses, I'm going to go with my health today. The Earth Fairy represents health, and I feel like this is an intuitive knowing about your health. For me, the main theme this week is this opposing energy between Neptune in the 12th house of hospitals and Mars in the 6th house of health. And I feel like Mars is not asking me to be aggressive or angry about my health. I'm really focusing in on the health. I'm not as much thinking about the pets and the employment for some reason this week. It feels like it's things I've been hearing in the news and the differing opinions and how strong those differing opinions are and how impassioned they are. Because for Sagittarius, this is not about outside passion. This is about interior knowing. And I believe that there is a sense of, I don't think Serena is about money right now. I think she's about an attitude and about being serene during a disruptive period of time, because Neptune rules illusion. And we see the Grail Knight, which also governs illusion, and Merlina governing confusion. So I believe that there is going to be illusion and confusion in many ways, about sort of a back and forth feeling about what is really serving me and my body and my highest and greatest good in a physical way, and what is not. Because of all the things that you are focused in on, I believe that it's your own intuition about this. I believe that our belief about something sets the tone for how we experience it. It's why we see people going through the same dynamic or the same
experience and having two different outcomes, because the platform with which they took their initial steps were in different vibrations, and vibrations represented by our beliefs. So I really feel like for Sagittarius, which represents the connection to the angelic realm, which represents the higher thought forms. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? So I really think that this is coming and bringing your intuitive knowing about your health, trusting yourself and that intuitive knowing in a place of allowing for the disruption, allowing in the sense of this. It's not like you're welcoming disruption, but allowing people to have their own journey of conclusions, their own revelations about things. Because I do think that there is a lot of confusion and illusion around things, because I don't think that all humans are created vibrationally the same. We're like colors in a crayon box, and if you've got 180 crayons in the box, everybody's vibrating a little differently. So now the conditions on the outside may be unfavorable, but what you can do is focus in on what you feel like on the inside, which is, to me, trusting the more spiritual side of Neptune as we are in this opposition with Mars. Okay. Let's go on to our Scorpios. All right. Big prayers out to Louisiana. You guys have been the last few years had a lot of challenges. All right. Fortunes. Is that how you say that? Fortunes? Gen X films, I think that's the greatest comment, honoring and treating the vessel better. Absolutely. All right. Fortunes. Okay, here we go. On to our Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Sonia. The second is Crystal. The third is Seraphina. And the final is Layla. This month of September is a fairly benign astrological month. We will go into the final retrograde of Mercury for the year. But as we head into October, November, and December, I personally am expecting more conflicting information and almost a deeper calling to us to dig deep inside of ourselves and ask what our truth is. So the reason I say that is because Scorpio is the detective. Scorpio rules what is unseen. And I feel like whenever Scorpio is being asked to assess something with their eyes and then, make their decision with their eyes, there's always going to be a little wobble with them. I feel like with Scorpio, giving yourself permission to know that you know something that other people don't know. It's almost like that you have night ray vision where everyone else just sees with their regular eyes. And in doing so, rather than feeling different, I feel like it's important to feel protected through that. Yes, deeper laser vision. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So Sonia is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Crystal's being joined by the Spider. Seraphina's being joined by the Novice. And Layla's being joined by the Butterfly. So Sonia represents a deceased loved one, represents the connection to the other side. And the Lady of the Lake represents courage, but not just courage, it's courage and truth. If you look at her very closely, she's holding Excalibur very, very softly. She's not, you can see the storm around her. You can see the water, churning. You can see her hair flying, but she's holding this sword with a gentleness, as if she does not need to grip it. I feel like for my Scorpios, this is the deeper part of you, the part of you that is a soul, not a human. And it's important for you to hold the truth of what you know, not too tightly, but but to hold it in a way, because there's a more emotional storm coming. And I think part of that storm is not just outside influences, but the deeper knowing of what Scorpio knows intuitively that may be resisted. So let me kind of put it this way. My grandmother was a Scorpio and my grandfather was a Virgo. And he would say, Rosemary, it's raining outside. We need to cover up. And he'd be very practical about things. And my grandmother would be like, it's not raining. And she would have this whole different viewpoint of how things would be. And on some level, both of them were right. And I feel like for Scorpio, you have to sort of allow for your rightness, even in the face of practicality that doesn't feel right to me for some reason. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, because Crystal's saying have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon and something is coming. And I think could potentially be a partnership. And when I say partnership, I don't always mean a romantic partnership, but an alignment. And I also see the network of more people coming through. So something is coming through from for Scorpio, and you have to hold a deeper knowing and sort of allow the outside practicality to push away, because this is a new beginning for you. And I think it's a new beginning bringing in more happiness for you. A lot of us have been, we talk about the last few years and how scary these times are. And they have really inspired me to look into history and to pay more attention to history. And while these are very challenging times, they are a time of ascension. They are a time when, as souls experiencing a human dynamic, have more freedoms, even under the restrictions we're feeling. So now I think for Scorpio, it's time to dig down to that deeper knowing that the disruption we're experiencing is really the manure for the garden that is popping up. Because for Scorpio, this is a time of transformation. And I think it's really the beauty that the butterfly represents, not the arduous transition from the caterpillar. You've been through that. So now it's time to start to focus in on the beauty. Focus in on what is working, not what is not working, and allow that connection to spirit. Meaning, start to focus in on that. Focus in on the progress. Focus in on the evolution rather than what is stuck. So, on to our Libras. Griza Lang, I'm sorry to hear about your mom, and I want to encourage you to trust that her transition isn't really dying, but just, changing form in some ways. I don't believe that we really die. I believe that we recalibrate, because this earthly experience can be a little dense and a little hard. Okay. Kinney, Chris, Teri, how do you come to know the various angels and what they represent? As far as these cards go, I will tell you, when I first started working with them, I was very green and I would look in the book. What does that mean? What does that mean? And then I started to hear John Edward, the medium, and he would talk about how when he was getting his intuitive hits, they were more like memories, and he would see his grandma in a kitchen cooking, and that's how he would know that the person he was doing a reading for had a grandmother that loved to cook. So I started to implement my memories into my reading. So when I saw a card, I didn't just look at what the face of the card said. I allowed the file cabinet of my memories to be how spirit would give me my signals. And then I read in the Medical Medium's first book, there's a chapter in the back about the 144 unknown angels. They're unnamed. And that very much resonated with me, because in my team, as I've seen them, I have 3 angels that I've never have come out of shadow. I don't know what they look like. I just know what they feel like. And that's part of my journey, is to feel my way through it, not see my way through it. So I feel like when you're working with the angels, ask them, what vibration are they asking you to feel? Because the vibration may be one of inspiration or compassion or joy. And so this is where I've become an intuitive astrologer, because the angels tell me Mars is not always about aggression. And while certain schools of thought have categorized these things in ways that depict dynamics, anger, frustration, restriction. These dynamics get to shift and get to evolve as well. So I hope that answers your question, or at least starts to. All right. And Griza, I want to offer this because having our parents transition is never easy, because we, there's a sense of feeling abandoned. There's a sense of feeling, even if our parents aren't, necessarily the most nurturing, there is a sense of feeling a little bit alone on the planet. So I want to offer you the opportunity to start to talk to your mother's soul and to engage your mother's soul to continue the conversation beyond her physical capabilities. And so you may start to see signs and omens. I have a client who was very young when her best friend passed away. Her best friend, I believe, was Dutch, if I've got that right, and her name was Gita, Gitte. Very unusual name, at least here in the United States. And I told this client that Gita, who had crossed over, she had an unexpected illness and died, that Gita would reach out. And this client was traveling through the airport, and there was a huge sign up on the wall that said, "Hello from Gita," out of nowhere. So I want to offer Griza, looking for the signs and the omens that feel absolutely like as if they'd be impossible, and yet there they are. And to start to know that your mother's transition may be part of your spiritual growth, and you may have a better relationship with your mom, and and I don't mean better in that you'll love her more, but it just may be more sort of comforting, that knowing that she's on the other side, she's not dead, but she's just transitioned into a more powerful place to be supportive to your dreams. Okay, that's where I'm going. Let's go on to our Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And Gita, I was just talking about that name. So it's interesting you would come into the room. All right, here we go. Now, I can't help but as I go on to Libra, think about Mercury joining Libra any day now, and then enjoying the retrograde in Libra, because I feel like even though it's retrograde, it's going to put us into this energy of how can we be more harmonious in our speech, in our thinking, in our writing, in our teaching, in our vibration to others. Okay. It is hard. It is absolutely hard because we have to get learning to talk to them in a different way and to interact in a new way. All right, here we go, Libra. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Chantal. The second is Yvonne. The third is Aurora. And the final is Archangel Raphael. All right, Libra. Chantal is being joined by the owl. Yvonne is being joined by the restriction card. Aurora is being joined by the spider. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the protection card. When I look at Chantal, Chantal represents romance, and the owl represents the two sides of a coin. Oftentimes we talk about romance and we're like, oh, I want to be in love. And then we love somebody who drives us crazy. No offense. Or somebody who, has habits that we have to compromise with. So I feel like when I look at this and I look at this week, I think the important dynamic is Mercury being at that 29th degree, going from Virgo into Libra. I think that Neptune being at 22 degrees in the midweek, 2nd or 3rd of September, opposing Mars, in Virgo is really, this is Neptune and Mars back and forth and about relationships. And I feel like that there could be this sort of idea that Libra is a sign of compromise. It's a sign of working well with others when it's in balance. And unfortunately, the shadow side is deferring what you want to the other party inadvertently. And I feel like that could be the challenge. That if you're a Libra like me and you've been single for a while, you may not want to compromise as much. And I feel like part of the challenge this week for you may be being vulnerable to the idea that relationships are not restricting. That is maybe our viewpoint of what is expected of us in relationship is restricting. Because in the angel's advice is Aurora, breaking the box of thought, telling Libra that you can transcend this small place. And then there's another relationship card for me. I think of the spider as I see that network, I see that web, and I know that whatever gets into that web is not coming out. And I feel for Libra that Archangel Raphael is offering you not just protection, but also an illumination, because we are all co-creators. And if indeed you're creating a challenging relationship, or you don't have a voice in your relationship, you feel like you're overly compromising and you keep waiting for the other party to validate that, to recognize it, and then to act on it. Oh, thank you. You've been so compromising. Oh, you're so fabulous. Let me do for you now. There's a good chance that's not going to happen. So it's going to be up to you, Libra, to express yourself in a way that is both fair to you and the other party, and then to learn the wisdom of it, because the holding back of that is erosive to the relationship. And it's time for you to be vulnerable to the idea that the restriction card is not coming to me as restriction. It's coming to me as Saturn, the rules of my relationship. Saturn is exalted in Libra. And I think it's exalted in Libra because Libra is fair. Libra cannot be necessarily emotional, even though it's ruled by Venus, because it's constantly weighing the pros and the cons. So overall, the theme of 2021 is to rewrite the old structures and to renovate them. So what if this dynamic between Neptune illusion and Mars war is actually and I say war because now I want to dig Mars into the deeper truth, and I want to dig deeper into Pisces and Neptune, and to say, what kind of relationship do I really dream about? And when I dream about it, am I standing as a Libra in holding space for that? Because this is where I'm going. I think Libra needs to express themselves. I think somehow within your relationships, whether they be work relationships, whether they be intimate relationships, even if they're relationships with friends, there's a way that you can express yourself to be fair to both sides of the story and actually make you feel more balanced. I have a bad habit because I'm Mars ruled. I'm an Aries rising and a Libra sun. So they're opposing each other. Mars is right next to my 4 degrees away from my sun. And because sometimes I can be forceful, I will shut down in order not to be forceful, in order not to feel too Martian. And I don't know if that's serving me. So this is where I'm really thinking that if I love another party, I will find a way to express my truth and not be pointing fingers. And so maybe sometimes that restriction is giving myself a pause to stand in vulnerability so that I can express the truth of my own evolution and have it be more palatable to the other. And in doing so, I understand the wisdom of Archangel Raphael's protection through my illumination. The older I get, and I'm getting older, I realize that it's really not the challenging thing that I have to present, it's how I present it. And I've learned more times than not that the history that I have accumulated on this planet chases me with some people. Some people will not allow me to evolve. They have a certain version of who I am. I love that, Keegan. Anyone angry? I've been labeled angry by many people who've known me from a long time. And part of that Martian anger is not necessarily anger. It was the people giving me, lying to me. People straight up lying to me and me being, that's not true. And so I didn't know I was intuitive at the time. I didn't know that I have Mercury and Neptune in Scorpio. So I too can see underneath what's in the 3D world. So my point is this. As I've gotten older, I realize that there's some people that won't allow me to evolve. So I don't try to get them into anymore. I don't even bother. I just sort of phone in myself with those people. And then I allow myself to sit in my energy and acknowledge that. Because if I look at it, I wouldn't trade it. So I want to offer that to you guys. So as you walking through these chapters of your life and you are rewriting who and what you want to be, if other people won't allow your evolution, don't keep pushing on them for validation. Let them sit where they are, because your evolution will speak for itself if you give it time. And I hope that made sense. Happy birthday, J4S777, 22nd birthday. It's very exciting. All right, here we go. On to our Virgos. Sometimes, Stephen, people use the most familiar relationships as the platform where they exercise things because there's a safety in it. And so sometimes we just have to choose not to be the recipient of it. Meaning, if we know somebody's cranky at us, maybe we just don't pick up the phone. We don't engage. Yes, it's out. And I wanted to say this too. I know it's a little premature. My birthday's in October, and it's going to be on a Sunday this year. So I'm going to spend my birthday with the audience. I hope you'll all join me. I'm trying to think of something fun to do. All right, let's go on to our Virgos, rising moon, sun and stelliums. We have Akasha, the teacher. We have Adriana leading us towards our dreams. We have Opal, God is watching over us. And we have Sonia. Absolutely, Jules. Some people are just what they are, and they won't even see it, And sometimes it's just the mix of them and us together. They may not be negative to other people, but the mix of us together. I recently had a situation with a family member who told me I was so negative, and I laughed. I think I mentioned this last week because I didn't laugh at them. I got off the phone frustrated and pissed off, and initially like, what are you talking about? I'm not negative. And then I thought, they'll never see. They want to see what they want to see because it gives them an excuse to act the way they act, so they can blame me for their behavior. But I'm not owning it anymore. So Jules, don't own it anymore. Let them go on and do whatever they do. All right, Akasha is being joined by the High Priestess, Virgo. Adriana is being joined by the Frog. Opal is being joined by the Goblin. And Sonia is being joined by the Restriction card. First thing I thought when I saw all this is a real opportunity for Virgo to meditate, to connect to your team, and I want to offer it this way because when I look at this, I feel like some of it may be meditating with an intention. So some of us, we go into meditation, we're like, tell Spirit, what do you want me to know? And I think Spirit's like, I don't know. What do you want to know? I honestly think that. So I feel like Virgo, be practical in your meditations. Spirit, I am having this da 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 da, and then you fill in the blank. And as you talk to them like a good friend, and then allow your meditation to be sort of a flow, okay? Because I feel like sometimes when we sit in meditation, there's a resistant energy to the idea of back up, feet, flat on the floor, hands in the Om position, breathe in, breathe out. All of that feels like a lot of challenging energy in my brain. I feel like sit back, relax, let your meditation be a walk with the intention to receive a message and then to keep your eyes open for it. Because think about it, Virgo represents work, employment, health, and pets. So, what if spirit will use animal totems on a walk that allows you to move past your mind, okay, because the movement of your legs, and then inspiration comes in because I'm doing it this way. Here is the High Priestess, which talks about this deeper intuition, this deeper knowing, and then Akasha, the teacher. And I don't think you're meant to be taught, as much as I feel like everyone is a teacher in some ways. And when I, as a Virgo, allow my intuition to be the dominant energy, I not only teach others, I do teach myself. And then here in the opportunity of the obstacle is the frog. And the frog represents the cleaning of the house. Well, in the physical, the house is the mind. The house is literally where we live. Every thought we have dictates our emotional body. So what Adriana is doing is leading you, Virgo, to the answers to your prayers as you become more childlike in your viewpoint and be willing to jump from one lily pad to another. Because Virgo, I think that the goblin is representing edging God out. And here's Opal saying, but God is watching over you. So think about it. If indeed, well, we don't have to say if. Virgo represents slavery. Slavery is somebody else's agenda that you must implement, that you must make successful. And if indeed this Virgonian dynamic is, I must serve others, I must serve others, I must serve others, I must serve others, then my needs are never met. It's time to rewrite this story, because I think as you dump that emotional baggage of, I don't need to serve others out of proportion, because I think Virgo is serving others by allowing them to experience God serving them. Did that make sense? Because here we have Sonia, your team, and the restriction card. Sonia may represent a deceased loved one. Some of you may have deceased loved ones watching over you, but you've got very strong energies other than deceased loved ones watching over you. There are energies that you literally had a conversation with in spirit, and you set an intention. And in doing so, you set forth teachers and energies that would support this journey into the physical unknowing, so that you could be a practical, dependable energy that also transcends the human experience into a more almost Aquarian experience, because it's new and it's space age and it's thinking bigger than just this little spot. So I feel like for my Virgos, this is a real opportunity for you to dig a little bit deeper into where you might be working hard, having Mars traversing through your sign for the last few weeks. I don't know, maybe in a month. I can't really remember. I've got everything comes in, goes out of my brain. But my point is this is action, 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 action. And I think that now it's about sitting back in meditation, but meditation with focus on yourself and experiencing more ease. Being almost thinking of yourself as, if I were to be of service to myself and brought more joy into the practical, if my fun became something that was something I could depend on, then I would bring that vibration into my partnerships. If we think about the wheel, why is the 6th house represent work and the 5th house represent fun? And why is the 5th house of Leo rule the whole zodiac? Because I think that when we look at the big picture and we take what we love and then we put that into work, meaning like if you're an artist, you become an artist, not a person who works at the market. If you're a singer, you don't just sing karaoke on Friday, you implement that, bring that work into the 6th house, helps your health be of a higher vibration, which then you take into your partnerships. 7th house. I hope that made sense. Okay, on to our Leos. Speaking of Leos, I have Pluto in Virgo as well. And Pluto for me is in a trine with my moon and Saturn. And then I have Venus in a trine with my moon and Saturn. So I really feel like I'm pre-wired to work with people in their self-esteem, including my own. Okay. You know, Nitro Nick, when a person has their sun conjunct Pluto, it is very transformative. I want to say it that way. We can look at it as scary as all get up, right? Like, oh, dear God. But I'm going to be 62 next month. Confessions, I've said it before. But when I started worrying about the squares, because my Libras, my sun is squaring Pluto, my Mars will be squaring Pluto soon, my ascendant is squaring Pluto, and I got nervous. I'm in my 60s. Am I going to drop dead? And I went back and I started to look at my life path. Pluto was in Virgo when I was born. Most of my planets, almost all of them except my moon, are on that side of my wheel, meaning my zodiac sign. So Pluto's been transiting me my whole life. I signed up for a big deal. I signed up for a master class. When we can look at our Pluto in our chart and see where it is, we can see where we have agreed to transform. So if some of us right now are experiencing really what we call dark times, it's because we have agreed to transform from something that feels real in the physical to bringing what feels intuitively, the intuitive knowing into the physical. Hope that made sense. All right, on to our Leos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Woo. All right, here we go. Leo, our first angel is Aurora. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Patience. And the final is Seraphina. Pluto and Scorpio is exhausting, Keegan. Absolutely. Wherever Pluto is it's exhausting. Because I think that we resist it, we resist the transformation because even when things are out of balance, we tend to hang in there. I once had a client come to me and they had been divorced for 25 years and still living with their marriage partner and wanted to know if the marriage partner, who was now their ex, would take care of them in their old age. And I thought, what? Why do you live with your ex for 25 years? That's Pluto not paid attention to. All right, Leo, the fire fairy is joining Aurora. The Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Spider. Patience is being joined by the Letting Go card. And Seraphina is being joined by the Burden card. Okay, so I want to offer this for my Leos. The fire fairy would be your ruling fairy. It's about creative action and optimism, and Aurora saying you're flying high right now, don't descend. The more I have been doing this work, the more I realize that the sun ruling the zodiac and ruling the 5th house of entertainment, of enjoyment, of our personal pleasures, creativity, the opposition to Aquarius, where it's about humanity and about, technology. There's a synastry between these two houses. And I feel like it's up to Leo now to continue to fly high, even in the face of other people's confusion about what you're doing, their judgment of what you're doing, their opinion about what you're doing, because I think you will inspire other people, but they are looking at things only from what is real to them. Because here's Grace and Antoinette asking you to have compassion for your network of people who may not understand what you want to do. So let me say this. Let's just say that you are a Leo and you want to be an actor, and you are in a family or in a community that says, well, you have no acting experience or you're of a certain age. Are you going to let those people change what you want to be when you grow up? Or are you going to say, it's all right for you to have your opinion? I'm just going to show you a different story. Because now the letting go card is always the song Let It Go from the song Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. And there's the patience card. Leo, you rule the zodiac. You rule the most enjoyable month of the year, the summertime here in the Pacific. And I feel like it's time to grab onto that and to give yourself permission to follow your passion, because I think you have something to teach us all. And Nora, if your sun in Leo is squaring Pluto, I don't know if that's transit Pluto or your natal Pluto, but regardless, then there's an opportunity for you to dig deep and to really trust the transformation of what that square is asking for you. Because it's a tense conversation saying, do you believe in yourself? Because if you believe in yourself, you're going to have to go against the tide. And that's what's happening here. Serafina talks about the family, and there's a burden. And I feel like this could be that those around you that you consider close, like family, may not completely align to your vision of what you want for yourself. And in some respects, I don't think this is about getting their agreement. I think this is about saying, okay, I understand. I understand that you don't see what I see, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Because this is, to me, all the quote unquote hard times we've been going through are grandly designed to break up old restrictive structures. It's Saturn again. And I'm not trying to make Saturn the big bad guy, but Saturn to me is begging for transformation, as is Pluto. I just bought a book about Pluto, by the way. And I was reading it earlier this week. And it is, to me, these two planets seem super scary, but if I play with them in the way that they really want, which is to dig deep into the truth, to be brave, to step out, to go where no man has gone before, and to trust that, and to be tenacious, and to be stoic, and to, Saturn's going to say, I don't care if anybody likes you. If you want it, stay in your lane. So I'm going to stay in my lane. And as I stay there, it may get uncomfortable for a while, hence the burden, Leo, but you will soon inspire others, and they will want what you have, which is bravery, courage. Okay, here we go. Because I want to offer this. You know, most of us that see another person's success, we only see the success. We don't really see the journey that they had to take to get there. That's why when you watch these packages, you know, like they talk about, you know, like The Voice, they have a package and you learn all about the person. You find out they were an alcoholic and they triumphed over the alcohol, or they triumphed over loss in some way. Those are all Pluto transformed. You know, I want to offer this. Keegan, you know, when you say there's some serious demons showing their ass right now, I totally get it. And I sometimes think that demons aren't necessarily all evil, but really ignorant. They're kind of, I kind of sometimes think they're herd animals where they're so afraid to step outside the box of thought, of consensus. And here in this community, we are natural out of the box thinkers. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be exploring this part of the universe, meaning astrology, the unknown, the intentional, the creator. Okay, here we go. On to our Cancers. Aurora in the foundational position. Caressa, Archangel Uriel, and Akasha the teacher. You know, Uranus is all about liberation. And if, Keegan, you're having squares with Neptune and Uranus, with Mercury and Venus, then you're liberating yourself from the way you think and the way you speak about your self-worth, your money, and the things that you want. And Neptune would be kind of sort of breaking up the illusion, but taking you into a spiritual place of creation. Bye, Shelley. Sending lots of love to you and your four-legged creatures. All right, here we go. Cancer. Aurora is being joined by the Fear card. Ooh. Caressa is being joined by the Focus card. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Grail Knight. And Akasha is being joined by the Death card. Sian O'Shea. I go backwards. I start at Pisces and I work my way towards Aries. So we have done Scorpio. I am right now on Cancer. For those late born Cancers, you know, you guys can look at your natal charts, because Pluto's at 24 degrees right now. And if indeed you are late born Cancer and you have that opposition, you could be feeling super uncomfortable, super insecure, super vulnerable to the outside world. So, because here in the foundational position, Cancer is again Aurora. You're flying high right now. Don't descend. And I want to offer it this way, because you are transforming, Cancer. You were ruled by the moon. You're ruled by a planet that trusts its intuition and its inner knowing. And the moon is so interesting because in science, our moon that protects the earth from, it has this some sort of electromagnetic energy field that emanates from the center of the moon that protects the earth from flying objects, you know, meteors and other weird things that fly around in space. Because this is where I'm going with this, because the moon represents the mother. It represents the intuition. It represents a deeper knowing. And I feel like this is what Aurora is asking Cancer to grab onto, to hang into, to anchor yourself into, because I want to change this fear. I had a client here recently and her acronym was Face Everything and Rise. And you've got Pluto. If you regardless of when, you know, where you're born in Cancer, because all the cardinal signs are getting hit: Cancer, Libra, Aries, and Capricorn. So if there's been this opposition with Pluto, then Pluto is asking you to transform in a big way. And on the face of the planet is a 600-mile ice heart that you can see from space. So now I think this is really about coming from your heart. And I think your heart, without all the nonsense attached to it, meaning what I think I'm obligated to, because the mother energy is, again, thinking outside of itself, focused outside of itself. And I feel like it's now time to focus on the inside of yourself, because when you focus on the inside of yourself, you actually are better able to serve others in a way that doesn't create a sense of feeling drained, because caresses is the end of a life cycle. And I think that this is in the angel's advice is Archangel Uriel, that deals with frustration, and then the Grail Knight, which deals with illusion. And I think that there is a part of Cancer that, especially if you have a Cancer stellium, that you may feel so nurturing that you literally don't know how to nurture yourself. And it's time to stop that. And I don't mean it in the critical way. I mean it in the way that says, if I nurture myself, I'm better able to nurture you, and to nurture you from a place of much higher vibration. Because here's Akasha, the teacher, and here's Pluto, transformation. And that transformation is understanding that if I face everything, I will naturally rise. As I've gone through my Pluto transits right now, my squares, they are rewriting my life. And they are asking me, Pluto is literally asking me if I really feel the way I've always felt. So Keegan, as Pluto is opposing your natal Cancer moon, do you really feel the way you feel, or is it a habitual feeling? I recently had a situation that was uncomfortable and unpleasant, And it was very much played to my history of my physical experience on this planet. And at first I thought I felt sad when it happened. And then I had this realization that Pluto had transformed me and I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt relief. And when I started to hang into the idea of feeling relief, I think that started to set the tone for me wanting to clean my house, clean my carpet, clean my walls. It was like I wanted to get in and give everything a deep cleaning so I could see the truth. The truth was my feelings were habitual. So maybe, Keegan, this whole Pluto transit is actually giving you an opportunity to revisit your feelings and if they are really still true, or if you have transitioned beyond that. And just in those moments, you feel the habit of how you used to feel. So that's where I'm going with this. All right. Going on to our Geminis. I have to say I found the greatest carpet cleaners. Rachel, my Pluto square turned my life upside down. It's been the hardest thing I've ever gone through in every important area of my life. I still feel I'm in the middle of it. Well, you know, Pluto's a very, very slow moving planet. And I will tell you, Rachel, when I found out that Pluto was transiting my whole chart, I feel sorry for my parents. Not my mom so much, but my dad. Because I don't think my dad had any clue what was going on. And I clearly signed up for some sort of master class. And that's all I can think of. I don't want to fight with Pluto. I don't want to argue with Pluto. I just think Pluto's constantly asking me if the truth that I'm speaking is current or if I'm living somewhere else. All right, Gemini, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Xana, the angel of protection. Indriel, the light worker. Sonia, our guides. And Grace and Antoinette, compassion. Well, I don't know if I feel completely sorry for my dad. He picked me as his daughter too. So apparently he had some transformation to do. Okay. Xana is being joined by the frog, Gemini. Indriel's being joined by Merlin. Sonia's being joined by the death card. And the cat is joining Grace and Antoinette. Genial or Ginal. I think it's Ginal. Ginal. I started Pisces and worked my way towards Aries. I am on Gemini. We've got 3 signs to go. Gemini. This is very interesting to me because this feels very much like an interior job. It feels very much like it has to do with, you know, Mercury and your ruling planet and how you think and how you feel as a result of how you think, because Xana is the angel of protection. And then there's the frog. And I really think this is about going from one lily pad to another. Again, Gemini, you are... it's interesting to me that the air signs have this sort of, especially Libra and Gemini, have this way to go back and forth looking at things, trying to be fair or see things from both sides of a situation. And the difference between Libra and Gemini is I think that Gemini tends to kind of poke around a little bit deeper sometimes into the way they think, hence the mercurial ruling element. Because when I look at it, I feel like Xana is really telling you that you're being protected. And in some ways, you don't have to go back into that place, but allow yourself to jump to a new lily pad. Allow yourself to know that a part of your history will always be what it was, but now it's allowing you to move past it, because in your opportunity or your obstacle is Indriel, the light worker, where you get to actually synthesize all you've learned and in some ways bring it into a magical element, bring it into alchemy. And it's through the mind, it's through the epiphany. And I think what that is the mind is The mind is where our focus lives. And when our focus is on fear, what we're scared of, what we think can go wrong, then we seem to draw in evidence in the outside world that our fears are true. So what I think is happening for Gemini is an opportunity to shift those fears. And it's not about avoiding them, but just starting to think, I think maybe I'm being protected. And maybe in order for me to truly feel that protection from spirit, my participation is to give life to a new situation, a new thought process. And in doing so, I start to feel the alchemy, the magic that Merlin represents. Because in the angel's advice is very much, here we go, Pluto again. Here's transformation. And the transformation is knowing that you are so much more than your physical body. I would venture to say that the infinitesimal fraction of a degree of who and what you are as contained in this human vessel is so small into comparison of what you really are, that when you connect to that idea, Gemini, it can transform everything. Because here is Grace and Antoinette, which represents compassion. And this is independence and healthy boundaries, the cat, but it's also 9 lives. And I really think that that's what this is all about, that you are going through another cycle, another point of evolution, and it's your opportunity to allow yourself to jump to that new lily pad. In doing so, you're cleaning up the house of your mind through compassion and your ability to know that there is more than one life ahead of you. So I mean it that in a way of chapters, that just because a certain situation is playing out, it doesn't mean that that situation will not shift. And the shift partially comes with your ability and your willingness to start to tell a new story to yourself. Gemini, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. So this is what I want to say. When I'm thinking about this, the example I want to use for Gemini is your love life, okay? And it may not be love life, but I'm going to use it because it seems to be a common theme. So somebody asked me in a reading recently, will I ever know true love? And, my first response was, well, of course you'll know true love. And then I heard Spirit say, but will you let it in? And that's a big question, because this is where it goes into Gemini. I feel like there's a part of you that as you give life to what does true love feel like? Or what does the truth of the situation feel like? And then inadvertently, Gemini will assess its outward experience and then decide if there's a viable avenue for that. You can't look outside. You can't think outside. You can't read outside yourself. You really can only speak yourself outside. Meaning, as I give life to the idea that, you know what? Everything is great. So when I experience love, I feel fulfilled. I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel protected. I feel safe. I feel like I'm the best version of myself. So Gemini, whatever you want to experience, allow yourself the privilege of knowing that it's through the evolved process that you will start to implement that into the 3D world. And I want to say this too for small wildflowers, because with your mom potentially transitioning, and we are on Gemini right now, and small, are you not a Gemini? Or are you Virgo? I think you're Gemini, or you're Gemini rising. I'm waiting for your answer, because I think that that's part of this might be for you with your mom, that you will start to relate to her in a new way. Because if indeed Sonia and the death card are coming up, then there's a transition with a loved one. Okay, so she's a Virgo sun and a Gemini rising. Oh, she's double Mercury. Because I think what will happen is there will be the 9 lives. And your job is to have compassion for the process of the human transitioning. I hope that made sense for everybody. When my father crossed over, Well, my father and I had a very challenging relationship for the most part. He ignored me and I was constantly traumatized. I couldn't have been a bigger Pluto energy in his life. So when he passed away, which was suddenly, he had a heart attack and he passed away. He was the one energy of everybody that I felt the most from the other side. I was not there when he passed away, and yet I knew the color of his shirt. I had so many things that I felt like he was telling me from the other side, which made me feel closer to him. Do I still get his cheeky way of being and sometimes his little bit of a smart aleck, but it feels so much more loving. So my point is sometimes the relationships we have in the physical, as loving as they may be, can transcend into a more beautiful energy as we transition into new chapters. And remember that we are a soul having a physical experience, not the other way around. All right, Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Here we go. Oh, I love that combination, the Pisces moon. I forgot about that too. I need to keep these things in my brain. So we've got Juan is having a birthday coming up, and Small Wildflowers is having a birthday coming up. All right, here we go. Taurus, our first angel is Ray. The second is Daniel, the angel of marriage. The third is Rochelle. And the final is Francesca. Ray is being joined by the movement card. Daniel's being joined by the joy card. Rochelle's being joined by the deer. And Francesca's being joined by the focus card. Okay, so the first thing I get, and I'm a Taurus moon, all right? And I'm really not interested in a relationship per se. But when I say that, I know perfectly well that I'm saying it from my experience, not what I would like to actually experience, for lack of a better word, because I feel like I have to shift my way of thinking. Stop telling an old story. Well, what does Taurus do? Taurus gets a little bit stuck sometimes. It's the bull. We're a little stubborn. I can say that because I'm a Taurus moon. And then I think to myself, my Taurus moon is part of two trines in my natal chart. And Pluto and Venus are part of that, along with Saturn. So I have to start to think maybe the truth of my relationship comes a little later in life. And maybe part of it is because I needed to strengthen myself as an individual. And now as I strengthen my connection to spirit, I see movement in my intimate body. And I'm going to say this because I do think Taurus wants to be in a relationship. Venus is moving into Libra soon. Venus also rules Taurus. So I feel like Daniel, the angel of marriage, and the joy card are what you want to experience, what you're putting out into the world. And I want to offer this whether you're in a marriage or not, because now is the time to honor and follow the guidance of your heart and be gentle with yourself as you do so. Because Taurus doesn't shift gears easily. It doesn't change easily. So you may find yourself going back and forth and believing, well, things can change. Oh, but look at this. Things can change. Oh, but look at the news. Oh, back and forth. Very easy to do. Francesca is saying, what do you visualize right now? Because that's what's going to come about. So visualize what you want. And then there's the focus card. So I want to offer this for my Tauruses because I know a fixed sign, Sierra, but this is the beauty of the fixed sign. Because while my Taurus moon is fixed in certain ways, I recently felt a shift in my Taurus moon when I realized that part of my emotional body was acting out of habit. And I didn't like the habit. So in that epiphany, it allowed me to step into a more joyous place. And the tortoise won the game. Remember? Not the hare. So I am starting to give life to joy in all my partnerships. That's my true north now. And while I may not have experienced that in general, it's my job to be gentle with myself as I trust my heart, because my heart has evolved. And I know that my focus starts creating my experience. I know that 100 million percent. I know that my prosperity comes from my focus. And I want to offer this because when we're going through challenging times with our money, what does Taurus rule? Money. We can't help but think, oh no, where's the money going to come from? Oh no, where's the money going to come from? And I started to think like this. Wow, I have 7 whole days to make my rent. God only knows where the money will come from. And then God brings money in. So I feel like, Taurus, this is a time to use your stubborn tenacity to shift gears into what brings you joy, and then to allow yourself the privilege of that focus. Continued on, and just keep asking yourself, what if, what if, what if? All right, bye, Stephen. We'll see you later. I'm going to go on to Aries and then we'll be done. I hope everybody's starting to have a plan for their long weekend before we go back to school. Okay, on to Aries. Rising moon, sun, and stallions. All right. We have Astera in the foundational position, Aries. We have Sonia in the opportunity or the obstacle. We have Chantal in the angel's advice, and Daniel, the angel of marriage. Wow. You know, the minute I look at this, I see Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton, and I'll tell you why. Because Gwen and Blake have in their synastry chart, Pluto is a strong influence on I believe it's his Pluto on Gwen's chart. And her north node is like conjunct his moon. This combination is so interesting because Pluto completely transformed Gwen from, being no doubt type, to being country no doubt. And she's never looked happier. She glows. Every single picture that she's ever taken since she's been with Blake, she literally looks ecstatic. I bring this up for a very strong reason, Aries. There is this opportunity for you to reach beyond what you know. So let's see. Astera is being joined by the water fairy. Sonia is being joined by the movement card. Chantal's being joined by the letting go card, and Daniel's being joined by Merlin. I'm an Aries rising. I'm ruled by Mars. I feel like when the reason I bring up Gwen and Blake is because they both went through a very devastating time. Both their marriages cracked up. They were both cheated on. It looked like all hell had broken loose in their personal lives, only for that disruption to create a chapter and a dynamic that had happiness they had no idea would be offered to them. Aries, it's time for you to use the deeper part of your Mars energy to the truth and to really reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and your whole emotional body. It's time for you to kind of be a little bit tenacious, a little bit aggressive, not with other people, with yourself and your willingness to be assertive over and over again. I don't care if there's no evidence of it. I don't care if there's no evidence. I know. Think about it. Mars naturally in ancient times ruled Scorpio. Scorpio knows everything from an intuitive place, from what is not seen but felt. So now it's a time for you to truly allow that inner knowing and your team to start to work for you. Because I believe, and I say this personally because I've been joking about it for a long time, I don't want to live with anybody. I would love to be in a partnership with somebody who could live next door, live down the street. I'll see him, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and ciao bella on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I mean, I make this up hypothetically, but I've been alone a long time and I enjoy my autonomy. I enjoy my independence because Aries, Chantal is asking you to write your love life the way you want it, the way you think it would work best for you. It's time to not let it go, but let it go. From the song Frozen, from the movie Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small and the fears that wants to control me can't get to me at all, blah, blah, blah. Because here's Daniel, the angel of marriage, and there's Merlin, alchemy, justice and balance. And I want to offer it this way because I think not only has Spirit shown me that there's a lot of people who are now coming into chapters where they will have their greatest love, their greatest professional successes, and know their greatest happiness. It will all come through disrupting of this old structure and rewriting it. So, in ancient times, meaning 1959, 1969, 1979, if you weren't 20 years old, you weren't viable. 30 was considered old. Well, then we started rewriting that, and 30 became the new 20, and 40 became the new 30, and blah, 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 blah. Aries, you're here to rewrite a story from your emotional body. You start with you, and then you work your way outwards, because I believe the partnership is coming for you, but not in the way that it used to be, in the way that you and your new partner or your current partner will write it. And in doing so, you actually present an invitation to those around you to choose love from what works for you versus what other people expect love to look like. Because most people aren't really in love. Most people are in some sort of cooperative relationship that they went into in a chapter of their life that something was expected of them. I've officiated over a second marriage before, and I wanted to let the children from the first marriage know how beautiful a second marriage is, because you're really choosing from an informed place versus the sort of romanticized place of a first marriage. So as you endeavor relationships, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, don't be afraid to write it the way you want it. And feel the trust that Spirit will bring alignment with other people that are in agreement, so we can start to rewrite this old sort of oppressive way of being and then moving into something more fulfilling and more room to grow. That's the way I want to put it. All right. Thank you, Small Wildflowers. Thank you so much for being here. I didn't know you were under so much stress with your mom, so I really want to send out some love and light to you. I want to thank Juan again for doing the timestamps. He too has been under, weather and water and all sorts of other things. So let's pray for them and pray for Shelly and her pets, and the other woman who I believe was a woman whose mom was transitioning as well. So we'll say prayers for everybody, and I'll be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific with more messages from your angels for traversing the transits. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below, and you can find me on Lada's website. So I'll see you all later. Peace out.